everybody, welcome to Designing Docs. My name is Maria Marquis. So after you've started to learn the building blocks of Coda, it's time to really start thinking about design. Because if you think about it, if it's just you using a Coda doc, that's fine. But if you're starting to create a doc that's going to be used for a team, you want it to be scalable, easy to understand, and built to answer the questions that you and your team have. So schema, this is kind of a fancy little word, but what do I really mean by it? Schema is just a way of saying organization. And the way I like to think about it is if you have a garage and you got a bunch of stuff that you need to organize in your garage, you could do that in any number of ways. You could just put it all in there and then close the garage door and forget about it. You could create a bunch of different custom bins, to put everything in sort of Rubbermaid containers. You could have hooks on the walls. You could have a custom solution that you can completely build yourself, or you could decide to maybe change the structure of the garage entirely. The point is, each one of those options will organize your garage. But depending on what you're trying to do in your garage, one or the other might be better for your purpose. If I'm using my garage for band practice, I probably want to have hooks so there's room for me and my friends to start jamming out. If I'm using it for carpentry work, I might want a more customized solution for my particular way of working. No one is better or worse than the other. It's all about you. So let's figure out how to take this and put it into Coda. So when we think about designing a doc, we want to think about it like we're designing an app. And if you've ever designed an app before, some of these things we'll talk about are going to be second nature. But if you've never done that, here's how to break it down. So any Coda doc or app has three different layers, D, I, and P. The D in this case stands for database. The database layer is where all of the data, hence the name database, lives. So think about this as the content that your tool is going to be consistently pulling from. So if I'm building a project tracker, this is probably my all tasks table with all of the information about it. If I'm building a CRM, this is probably all of the customers and all their information about them. If I'm doing OKRs, this is all of the OKRs, the key results, the status, and things like that. This database layer powers everything else. So this is why I always recommend getting your database done first, figuring out what's all the stuff that I have, gathering all of your stuff so you can start to make sense of it. The next layer is the interaction layer. So you've got your stuff. Now it's time to think about how will the people interact with that stuff? Are they going to be entering information? Are they going to be just viewing it? Do you have other expectations for how they're going to be using it? So starting to think about how can I create those pathways through automations, through buttons, through how you've structured the information, but really thinking about what do people need to do? One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they start to just add things to their Coda doc because they think, oh, that's cool. But they haven't really thought about, well, what's a day in the life for myself and for my team going to be? That's what it's really about, solving those real problems that you have. Now, the last layer is the presentation layer. This is where you decide what it looks like. So you've got your stuff, you've got how you want people to use the stuff, and now I want to structure it in a way that's really easy for people to accomplish those workflows. So if we take a project tracker as an example, my database layer is a nice big all tasks table. It's got all of the details in it. It's got the owner, it's got the status, it's got the effort days, all sorts of good stuff. The interaction that I want people to do is I want them to be able to add tasks and also be able to make updates to them. And I want to make sure that we have a regular cadence of those updates. So my presentation layer might be an all tasks table with a button where people can add tasks, and then views for the different meetings that we have. So great, for my war room meeting, I've got my urgent tasks. And then for my sales team meeting, I've got the projects that are launching this week. And then for my customer success meeting, we might have an area of the feature requests that people are having based on these different tasks and the different messaging that's appropriate. And of course, we'll probably have a nice little automation that sends reminders every single week for people to go through that process. So I find it's helpful to just think about these three different pieces as you're starting to build it so that you don't have to rebuild anything. By putting a little bit of extra planning up front about how it should work and the problems you're trying to solve, and most importantly, the questions you want your doc to answer for you, you're going to save yourself time, allow your team to scale, and have a lot more fun. So I'll see you in the next Designing Docs session.